they're going to win this because they've got the number 2 offense in the league. You just if you have the number 22 offense, you just can't beat the number 2. I know what does sort of add sort of a dimension of uncertainty to the game is the fact that the Giants are coming out of their bye week, so they've had a couple weeks to plan for this game. So maybe there's something there, but I just wouldn't be the one to go against the Colts in this situation. Obviously, you're starting Andrew Luck. Ahmad Bradshaw has a top 12 start. T.Y. Hilton broke into the top 12. He's a top 12 start, and you keep starting him that way. I actually went back to see in the past 3 weeks he's had 22 receptions, 485 yards, 2 TDs. That's pretty darn good. Dwayne Allen seems to be a regular. I think it's 4 or 5 out of the last 6 weeks. He's had a touchdown. The Colts defense, despite what happened last week, you can look at them as a low-end option. And for anybody out there, if you missed Dante Moncrief on the waiver wire, you can pick him up this week and consider him for that wide receiver 3 or flex option spot. There is a talk that Reggie Wayne may be back this week, but I think because of Dante Moncrief, the Colts might be wise to certainly keep Reggie Wayne out if there's even a small question to it. I mean, the kid had 7 receptions, 113 yards, and 1 TD. If Reggie Wayne wasn't there, he would clearly be the second option to Andrew Luck and would probably be one of the better receivers in the league right now. Look for him for next year to be one of the top draft picks at that position. For the Giants, you can look at Eli Manning. He's probably in a 12-team league, he's probably the number 12 quarterback. That's where he sits right now. This is probably the last week we're going to see Andre Williams. Rashard Jennings is going to miss again. But then right after their bye, it looks like he'll be good to go. I got to think Andre Williams is going to make a statement this game. Once you put somebody in a pressure situation like that against a team that's given up close to 20 fantasy points to your position, he should do well. And I don't know that I'd recommend him as anything more than a low RB2, but certainly as a flex play. Ruben Randall is a wide receiver 2. Odell Beckham is a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. And you get your Larry Donnell out there against the defense, giving up the 5th most fantasy points to the position, slightly better than 10 fantasy points in standard scoring leagues. Keith, the Colts dropped the hammer on the Giants. Colts win.
All right, folks, there you have it. All of your fantasy football questions for Week 9. If we're going to stay on the air because we're going to talk about some random stuff here. 585-633-7487 if you have any lineup questions of your own. If you want some advice, maybe there's a trade offer out there you're thinking about making, call 585-633-7487 to talk with Jim. But first, let's go ahead and let's look at what's going on in the world of sports today. This is a late night sports radio update. Like that?
Ooh.
You like that?
I think.
Game 7 of the World Series right now is on, and it is 3-2 San Francisco in the top of the 8th. Winner take all. Madison Bumgarner is pitching on virtually no rest here, so we'll see what happens here. Around the NBA, Phoenix over the Lakers 38-30 in the second quarter. The Nuggets beating the Pistons 64-60 in the third quarter there. Houston over the Jazz 79-76. 10 minutes to go in that game. Golden State and Sacramento tied 29 apiece with 8:23 left in the second quarter. Oklahoma City Thunder over the Portland Trail Blazers 18-13 still in the first quarter there. Earlier, the Charlotte Hornets went to overtime and beat the Milwaukee Bucks by 2. The Indiana Pacers over the hapless Philadelphia 76ers 103-91. Boston Celtics beating the Brooklyn Nets 121-105. Miami Heat opened their season without LeBron, 107-95 winners over the Washington Wizards. The Toronto Raptors 109-102 winners over the Atlanta Hawks. The Memphis Grizzlies beating the Minnesota Timberwolves 105-101. And the Chicago Bulls with a whopping 104-80 victory over the supposedly revamped New York Knicks. Not happening, supposedly.
Wow. That's incredible. Go Bulls. Wow.
And that is your late night sports radio score update.
Keith, that was some pretty interesting stuff.
You like that?
I do. I like the music. I thought that was a perfect sort of transition.
I feel like I should be wearing some kind of plaid suit.
You should, and you should grow a cheesier mustache than the one that you already have. Do you have a mustache?
No, I'm clean shaven unless I'm on vacation, and then I just let whatever muskrat is on my face grow.
There you go. There you go.
Right.
Well, hey, how about the world of football?
Yeah,
what kinds of questions shall we talk about, or issues?
Let's get back to fantasy football. So,
yes,
I like to do it. I'm sorry.
You want to talk about your team, I'm sure.
I do. This section of the night, I like to hog my influence, and I have your undivided attention. We got about 9 minutes and change left before we have to say goodnight to all the folks out there. So here's my dilemma that I have right now. I have 3 possible running backs to start for 2 slots. 4, actually. I have Le'Veon Bell, Ronnie Hillman, Trey Mason, and Shane Vereen.
How many teams are in this league? Like 5?
12. This is a 12.
Oh my God! Wait, your choices for a flex are Le'Veon Bell and who?
No, I got 2 running back slots. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, 1 running back and 1 flex wide receiver running back, but I have 4 running backs, so I might as well get a second running back in there. So Le'Veon Bell, Ronnie Hillman, Trey Mason, and Shane Vereen. I got to pick 2 of those.
The first 2, Le'Veon Bell and Ronnie Hillman.
Okay, that's who I have in my lineup.
You're starting Le'Veon Bell because basically he's a force to be reckoned with, and he's a huge part of that Steelers offense. He last season. Do you remember last season when he ran against the Ravens? That touchdown he got when he plunged head first into the end zone and just got whacked in the head.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, that's amazing. So, I mean, that's the kind of game you're hoping to get from him is 100 and a score, and I could see that happening this week. And Ronnie Hillman, he's a force to be reckoned with. And, in fact, the way he's been running, I would say Monte Ball is going to have a really hard time getting his starting job back. Is that Ronnie Hillman? He's been pretty much matchup proof.
See, the reason that I'm concerned about Le'Veon Bell is that the Ravens are pretty stingy when it comes to running back points against.
But they were last season too, and he's just one of those players you sort of want to be there because if he blows it up, you're going to miss it. The other 2 players you mentioned, Trey Mason, he's got a tough matchup. I would play him, but more like as a low end RB2. And who was the 4th option?
Shane Vereen.
Shane Vereen, he's pretty good. I mean, I could see you fighting with that, but he's still an RB2. Le'Veon Bell's an RB1, and I would just stick with it.
Yeah, and Vereen will, like 2 weeks ago when he put up 20 points, and then he'll disappear because Belichick just on a whim decided to go with what's the other guy that's fighting there?
Iris Garay.
Yeah. That's it. All right, wide receivers or tight ends. So I got 3 slots here. Right now I have Keenan Allen, Julius Thomas, and Brandon Cooks starting. I have Odell Beckham and Michael Crabtree on my bench.
Oof. That's tough. Well, Beckham, I think you leave him on your bench. It was great what he did the other getting those 2 TDs, but if you didn't get those 2 TDs, you would have gotten nothing. Or 5 points, I'm sorry. And then Michael Crabtree, that's a little bit tougher. Again, your choices were who do you have in there right now?
I have Julius Thomas, Keenan Allen, and Brandon Cooks.
I'd say possibly Keenan Allen would be the guy I'd put him in for. And let me just, before I open my mouth and insert foot, let me just check my rankings real quick, which all the listeners out there, go to thefantasygreek.com, and we've got our Week 9 player rankings already out there, and it's entitled Bombs Away. There's a great picture of Ben Roethlisberger throwing a football. It's very, very, very cool, Keith.
I need to stress how important this week is because I'm playing my wife.
Oh, then let me be. Well, you're paying me more than she is. So let's see here.
I'm 4-4. She's 5-3. So if I win, then now we're both even, and she can no longer say she's doing better than me. This is a
there
this
you
is
go.
A big
there
week.
you go. All right. Well, here's how I got him ranked. I got Michael Crabtree, Brandon Cooks, and Keenan Allen. So there you go.
So
Crabtree and Cooks.
So bench Julius Thomas.
No, don't bench Julius Thomas.
Oh,
I thought you said you could switch him in and out.
I can. I got 3 spots. Okay, I got Keenan Allen, Julius Thomas, and Brandon Cooks starting right now.
Sorry, leave Julius Thomas. We're not even talking about him out of the receivers.
Okay, so Keenan Allen and Brandon Cooks.
Bench Keenan Allen and put in Michael Crabtree.
All right, I'm doing it.
All right,
folks, you heard it right here. My fate has been sealed on the air.
Here we are.
If my wife beats me, oh my God. Oh, jeez. That's such a pride thing, you know. Maybe it's my weakness. Maybe I'm broadcasting my own. What's the word I'm looking for? Not weakness, but along those lines, insecurities. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm not the man I always thought I was.
Well, if the kids find out, they'll be like, Dad, Mom beat you in fantasy football.
No, we don't. We will never. If it happens, we will never speak of it again.
Oh, that's not true. You know that.
Under pain of death. So
you'll come crawling, begging. Let me back. Let me back.
All right. So let me catch you off guard. We got a few more minutes here. All right. So
here's
some questions that are completely unrehearsed. You have no idea that they're coming. They're just occurring to me in the moment. We have 4.5 minutes. Who out there that's probably on waiver wires do you recommend people absolutely make an effort to go get?
Wow. Well, my first player would be Brandon Cooks because he showed up in a few leagues, including one that I was in, that he was available. He was on waivers. And as you could see what happened last week, that was a turning point. It was basically an issue of fantasy managers who drafted him and were waiting and waiting and waiting, just couldn't wait anymore. Instead of benching him and waiting to see what happened, they got frustrated and just tossed him out there. And anybody that passed on him, I think that was foolish. In my particular situation, I just couldn't use him for the 1 week that he was already there. But this week I made it my point to go get him. I've already mentioned Dante Moncrief as a player that people should consider going to get. If you need quarterback help, now's the time to go get RG3 if he's out there. For running backs, I would definitely Lorenzo Taliaferro, if he's still out there, go get him. He seems to have established, or let me not just say established, possibly cemented himself as the RB2 for the Ravens. And certainly, if an injury has hit Justin Forsett and he misses any time, he suddenly becomes the RB1. Just because he doesn't necessarily make an impact on a week-to-week basis doesn't necessarily mean you have to drop him from your roster, unless it's one of these, like I'm in a 10-team league where you can pretty much jump in and out, drop who you want, and even if somebody picks up, there'll be somebody else out there that you can get and add them. Odell Beckham's a player that is still available in some leagues. Martavis Bryant is a guy that, he turned my head these last 2 games by scoring touchdowns and making some incredible catches and earning the trust of Ben Roethlisberger. He's a player that if you can make room for him, especially in a dynasty league, go get him. He and Marcus Wheaton and Antonio Brown should be controlling the wide receiver position in Pittsburgh for a long time to come. Long time.
All right. I'm seeing on my Twitter timeline now, I'm not going to ask about this season, but Marcus Lattimore is practicing for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, I saw that. That sort of made me kind of scratch my head a little bit. Because of the fact that they've got 2 running backs already in Frank Gore and Carlos Hyde. My thought is that they're practicing them because they need to. They obviously drafted him, signed him to a contract, have certain expectations, and I'm thinking that somebody has made the decision he's ready to practice, and now they're ready to see if he could practice for a few different sessions and be okay.
There is no reason for him to be wanting to do anything competitive with those knees right now. It's an amazing story to me, because his knee was so wrecked, obliterated.
But here's the thing. The 49ers didn't sign him because he's a great story. They signed him because he has some talent, and they're betting that he could come back to his old form, or at least take the chance. They're certainly in a position to take the chance. I wouldn't necessarily, for example, right now, Carlos Hyde is the running back to have for the 49ers. If Frank Gore gets hurt, Carlos Hyde would carry the load, and Carlos Hyde is certainly the player that is in line to take over the starting running back position for the 49ers going forward. Marcus Lattimore could end up being that second running back on the team, and he'd probably be better suited for it given his injury history, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. No, just a couple of interesting angles there. So.
It's a great story, and you wish him the best.
And with that, we are out of time. Another fantastic hour of fantasy football talk with Jim Saranteas. Follow him on Twitter at TheFantasyGreek. Go to thefantasygreek.com for all your fantasy football advice and lineup questions and concerns. I'm Keith Grieve from 87sportsfans.com. Tune in tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, Bob Sullivan Show 2.0 with some special guests, talk with some music. Actual artists on the show. Go figure. Thank you all for joining us. LateNightSportsRadio.com.
After the lights, the party's over.